Welcome back. As a part of this video, we'll continue our journey of requirement document validation. We understood there are few types of requirement document validation like completeness, data mapping, schema and metadata, ingestion, processing and storage, reporting and output. So what is requirement completeness and why do we need to do that? And we talk about the data engineering projects. As you know, it involves get the data from source to the target. Now, when we are trying to get the data from source to target after applying all the transformations, as a part of the requirement completeness check, will verify that all the sources and targets are fine or not. Have they mentioned all the appropriate sources and targets? And the transformation, all the processing requirements, are they properly documented or not? Now, the question may be, how will you validate that? So let us say they have mentioned some 10 sources and some 10 targets. And then there may be a possibility that they would not mention the couple of data sources. They would not mention the couple of targets. You have to ask the business analyst or a person who is responsible for specifying the requirements. Like this, we will validate whether the requirement is complete or not. Then comes the data mapping verification. So we may say all of these things come as a part of the requirements only. But some of this needs a special mention because core of the big data engineering projects would involve this data mapping, and we have to ensure the data mapping is proper. Data mapping involves accurately mapping the source attributes to the target attributes, including transformations. So that if you have not mentioned the source attributes like source columns, source fields, and how are they getting transformed into, then obviously there is an issue with the data mapping, and that need to be highlighted well in advance. Then comes the schema and metadata validation. So when we have a source, where is the data stored in? Data is stored in a source table, and data is getting loaded into the target table. When I say table, it should have a schema, isn't it? So if they have mentioned some 5 attributes in source, and if they have mentioned 5 attributes, if there is transformation involved and there is a one-to-one mapping is there, then the schema should contain these 5 attributes and the schema and the target should contain these 5 attributes. So like that, you have to go on critically verifying whether the schema is provided for all the mentioned tables or not. Okay, you have to check how many fields are there. You have to check what is the data type mentioned in the source, what is the data type mentioned in the target. If there is any issue, you have to highlight that. Then ingestion, processing, and storage requirements. So the data is on the move. Whenever we talk about the data engineering project, the data is on the move. Source, then staging, then target. Target can be data warehouse, it can be MongoDB, it can be any other target. So whether the data is ingested properly or not, whatever the specifications required for the data ingestion, is it mentioned properly or not, that need to be validated in the requirements document validation. Then comes the reporting and output. So remember, we are not validating the report from the test execution perspective. We are validating that from the requirements, whether the requirements are specified properly or not. That is what we are validating. So the execution comes after we write the test cases and after the data migration, data transformation is done. But we are trying to do all these validations much advanced in the project. So in the reporting, we'll see whether the output formats are mentioned properly or not. So what are the different computation mentioned, whether they are making sense or not. All those things need to be validated in the reporting and output. Wonderful then. We understood what are the different validations we have to do during the requirements phase. Thank you.